Uh, Weekend hair, don't care. Today's gonna be a little bit different. It's gonna be a little bit more on the philosophical side, maybe a little bit of the encouragement or coaching side, but I'm going to mix that with a poster design that I did that I'd made a video of this a long time ago. I actually made it with Photoshop, so shh. But I made this video a long time ago and I never published it. It's up on my YouTube, but it's just sitting there like doing nothing. So I thought, hey, let's share this process video. And in the meantime, I'll talk about something I want to talk about. Let's go! What's going on, everybody? My name is Dave Carney. I'm an artist and designer based in Southern California, and today I'm going to talk about how I became an artist after being a designer. And I'm going to do so while designing a poster. Let's get the incidentals out of the way. This poster design that I created, it was a poster for a punk band, that one of my favorite punk bands called The Damned, and they were playing a bar here locally a couple years ago, and I made this poster just as kind of like a tribute to them. It didn't really go anywhere. It wasn't intended to go anywhere. It was just something I wanted to do just for fun. So I did the whole process. I made the video and I posted it up on YouTube, but I didn't launch it. Like, it's just been sitting there in my drafts for who knows how long, and I didn't even realize it. I figured I would share it with you here today while I talk about a question that I got on Instagram. This question comes from subscriber Mike John Design, and he slid into my DMs on Instagram and asked me, "Hi Dave, I've been a graphic designer for about 8 years and wondering if you have any advice on my problem." He has a full-time job as a graphic designer working for a company, but he says that he loses the motivation to do anything creative once he gets home. Now, I did respond with a short answer, but I told him that I would go in depth with this because this story resonates with me so hard. Story time. Back in 2003, I got a job working for a magazine publishing company, and all things were going great. It was a good, solid job. I got to work really kind of fluid hours. I worked on an automotive enthusiast magazine, so I got to go on all kinds of cool photo shoots with cars and models, and I got to go to races, and I got to go to Ford one time and actually go look at the brand new Mustang, and I got to do all kinds of cool stuff with that job. It was a really cool experience, and over the 10 years that I worked there, I really defined myself as a graphic artist. I took a look back at my process of the things that I did when I first started versus the stuff that I did when I left, and they were light years apart. So I am incredibly fortunate to have that great job, good benefits, good situation, good people to work with, totally low-key job, but it killed my creativity. The thing about being a magazine art director, especially with a smaller company, not one of these big firms that have huge art budgets, I was the guy. I made all of the pages. If it wasn't a page that had some sort of advertisement on it, I did it. So anything that was editorial related, I built the whole thing from scratch. And the magazine that I was working on when I first started was 300 pages. Now, at least half of that was ads, but if you can imagine trying to build a 150-page magazine by yourself every single month, you can imagine that sometimes creativity goes right out the window. You're just in machine mode trying to get things done. We worked with templates a lot. We didn't really have a whole lot of time to do really super creative stuff. No matter how much I might have appreciated, I was never going to be doing anything Ray Gun Magazine-esque in the pages of Muscle Mustangs and Fast Forwards magazine, or Chevy High Performance, or Street Chopper, or any other magazines that I worked on while I was there. And because of the timeline, my opportunity for creativity was slim. And even if I did have some opportunity to do something, if for some reason I actually had a little bit of extra time to work on things, the editors, the publishers, they weren't into it. They weren't into it at all. We had to really follow a very strict regimen with what we were doing because they were so freaked out about people dropping subscriptions because I did something super creative with the cover that just would blow their minds. When I say super creative with the cover, I'm not talking about doing anything bananas like what David Carson would do. I'm just talking about maybe like removing a headline or two from the cover page, and then that just was like, what? You can't take those cover lines off of the cover? Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. How are we ever going to sell a magazine without cover lines? But I digress. Like I said, I started that company in 2003, but it wasn't very long after that, probably 2005, 2006, I really started to feel the pressure of not doing anything creative. I would go into my job and do what I had to do, and then at the end of the day, I'd just be like, I feel like I'm not doing anything cool. Nothing I'm doing is cool. It's all machine. And I honestly felt like I was going to lose my edge if I didn't do something creative. But just like our friend Mike, I had no desire to just hop right back on a computer and start building designs for clients or customers. That wouldn't have solved the problem. So I went the complete opposite direction of digital and I went analog. Hold on a second, let me show you something. I hope you appreciate all the energy I spent to make that work. These are just two of the pieces that I created in that time period, and they're not great. There's nothing super interesting about it. There's nothing really great. There's nothing, like, you can't focus on anything, and I mean, I don't know. I like the color spectrum of it. I didn't know what I was doing with the paint. I just was throwing it up on this little canvas and hoping it turned it into something decent. I tried to sell these on Etsy, but they went 0 places, obviously, because I still have it in my hand. Nobody bought it, nobody wanted it, so it's just been sitting up on my shelves for who knows how long. But if you look at this versus that, you can see that I've come a really long way. And if you look at my stuff on Instagram, you can see I've come a long way too. Even if you go to the things that are a little bit more design oriented, my style here is radically different than what I was doing back in 2003 or 2006 or anything in the last 10 years. And I can honestly tell you that the reason that I feel I've gotten better is not just that I've had more time to do more things, but because I stepped out of my comfort circle of doing just graphic design stuff and decided to step into something that wasn't my bag. I had no idea what I was doing when I made these. I just made them because I needed an outlet. And then this outlet became that, and it became the stuff that I do on Instagram, and it also became what I'm sharing with you right here. The energy, the effort, what I put into these videos all stems from putting a little bit of sloppy paint onto this canvas. Yet again, I digress. The point of this video is to share what I believe as the answer to Mike's problem. And Mike's problem is that he feels no desire to create when he gets home, because he feels that what he needs to make is design. And that's what he's been doing all day long. And I believe that that's actually not the thing he needs to be doing. Now, does that mean he needs to go buy a bunch of canvases and slap a bunch of random paint on them just to feel better about his creativity? No, of course not. What he probably should do is just try something. It could be painting. It could be just sketching into a journal. It could be woodworking. It could be, any kind of creative, craft-oriented pursuit. Just something that allows you to get into a bit of a Zen moment with your creative mind. Something that allows you to stop thinking about the world and just make. Now, although I have always been more enterprising with my pursuits, as soon as I started painting stuff like this, I thought, how can I sell it? Luckily, that's when Etsy had first started, so I threw some stuff up on Etsy, and that's when it all began. But just because I decided to start selling my stuff doesn't necessarily mean that anybody who is trying to just find some creative output, that you need to just turn that into something to make money. It doesn't have to be about any of that at all. In fact, it could just be something that you do to keep the creative juices flowing so that when you do go into that job the next day, that you feel better about yourself instead of dreading it because that's the only outlet you have, and it may not be the most fulfilling creative outlet that you could possibly imagine. Graphic design sounds like a very sexy job from the outside, but when you get inside, there's a lot of work, there's a lot of production, there's a lot of stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with creativity. And in order to be motivated to go to a job that does that every single day, you need to be rejuvenated when you come in. So if you take a little bit of energy that you have when you get home from that daily grind and you put it towards something that is just a little bit of an expression of creativity. Just start small, and as you start to feel better about it, then expand on it. Do it a little bit more and a little bit more, and if you get the motivation to share it with people, then do so. If you get the motivation to sell it, then do so. But understand that this isn't about doing something for other people. Not about sharing on Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or putting up on things for sale up on Etsy or Redbubble or wherever you're going to sell these things. It's not about that. This is about planting fruitful seeds in a garden in your mind so that you don't lose touch with that powerful creativity that you have inside you. Now, I don't imagine there's a whole lot of people who watch my channel that say to themselves, well, I'm not really very creative. But if you are that type of person that feels like you're going to jump into my comments and say, well, I'm not very creative, Dave, what should I do? Let me tell you something. Creativity is a muscle. And just like any other muscle on your body, the only way to make it grow is to work it out. You want to build bigger arms, then you better start doing some bicep curls. You want to be more creative, and then you got to put it to work. Draw, paint, sketch, doodle, scrapbook, sew, make soap, make wood things, whatever. Just make something so that you can foster more creative inspiration inside you. And the next thing you know, you're building or painting or making your magnum opus. I know producer-director Josh Whedon isn't everybody's favorite person right now, but he has a quote that's kind of a go-to for me for sharing with other people in situations just like this. He says, if you have a good idea, get it out there. For every idea I've realized I've had 10 I sat on for a decade till somebody else did it first. Write it, shoot it, publish it, crochet it, saute it, whatever. Make. Period. Now, contrary to what Josh is saying here, I don't believe you need to share your creative idea with the world. You only need to do that if you feel compelled to share it with the world. But what I do believe is that you need to express that creative idea. You need to get it put down on paper or in whatever substrate that you feel is best, into a pot, onto a knitted blanket. Just do the thing. And when you do that thing, it's going to make you feel better about all the other things that you do, even the ones that may not necessarily feel so creative. I promise you, this is true. I've been doing this for many years now, and it always works. The more I make, the better I feel, which means I want to make more stuff because I know how it makes me feel. And so I make more stuff, and the stuff gets better and better and better. And if I do decide to share it, eventually somebody may want to pay me for it. And on that note, enough of me just saying. I hope you appreciated this video. If you did, do me a favor, go down in the comments and tell me which was your favorite part. Tell me what you agree with, what you disagree with. I don't care, just go down there and share, because I want to have some sort of dialogue with you guys. And while you're headed down there, make sure you hit that like button and then share this with all of your appropriate homies. Now, I know that poster design didn't really show you all the nuts and bolts of how to get that thing done. Doesn't really matter. It was just there for some sort of visual, as opposed to just looking at my ugly mug the entire time. This has been a bonus Dave Connery video. There will be a regular video on Friday as I normally put out. I just wanted to put this one out there because I felt the urgency to get it done, even though it's actually a pretty long video anyway. But I was urgent enough. Mike, I hope that helped, or anybody else paying attention, I hope it helped. And if you did, just tell me, because I want to hear that. I want to hear that it helped you. That's really kind of why I do what I do. I want to help people, just like I helped Mike. But now I'm going to help myself get out of here because it's so warm in the studio today. So I'm out. Guys, remember, be good today, be even better tomorrow. See ya.